Christy. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to card 18 in my 2016 holiday card series. Today I'm using this super cute set from Neat and Tangled called Berry Merry, as well as the Christmas Delivery 6x6 pad by Cartabella. And there's a look at those patterns, very pretty. So I'm going to begin by coloring the bear, and I want him to look like a polar bear since that's my favorite animal. And so I'm taking my W00 and just kind of figuring out where I want my shadows to go, and also saturating that paper to get it ready for blending since this is a large image. And then I'm going to skip right ahead to my darkest shade, the W3, and to begin to lay in those shadows now that I know where I want them to go. So I'm visualizing my light source to be coming from head on. So I am shading any place where the light would not hit. So on the inside of his thighs there, also on the underneath of his arms. His scarf is going to cast a shadow both below and above because it's a bulky fabric. And then I'm just putting a little bit on the top of his head and the sides of his head to make his body look more rounded in appearance. Now I'm going to take my mid-tone, the W1, and I'm just going to blend all that out by catching the edge of the W3 and just drawing that color towards the highlights and just making that transition as smooth as I can. I'm also going to cast a little shadow on the bottom of his belly, even though I'm going to add a different color a little bit later on. Now I'm taking my W00 and just blending the rest of that mid-tone out so that he has a nice soft look to him. And I'm going to color even over the darker areas because the colorless blender that's in that W00 is going to eat away at some of that darker color. And normally that wouldn't be a good thing because it creates a mottled look. So if you were coloring clothing or skin tones or something like that, you probably wouldn't want to do that. But in this case, it's going to give him a fuzzy appearance that works great for critters. And I'm even amplifying that by using my colorless blender right over top of all the coloring. For his belly, I wanted to create kind of a pinky peach colored skin tone. So I figured out that these three colors would help me get where I wanted to go. It's the E95, the E21, and the E000. Now these are nowhere near each other on the color chart, but they do seem to blend well together. The E000 has a lot of colorless blender in it, and it knocked the color back a little bit farther than I wanted it to. So I just grabbed my E93 again and added a bit more of that in there, just kind of flicking it in so it's nice and soft. And then went back over that with my E21 to just give it kind of that glow. And I also decided to use those same three shades on the bottoms of his feet and just the E93 for the insides of his ears. I took the R20 to give him some rosy cheeks and just knocked that back with the W00. Moving on to my other three images, I'm going to start with the E21 on the little Santa mug for the skin tone, and I'll just fill that in with the E00 and use the E93 for his nose to give it a little rosiness. And then I'm going to take the W00 and the W1, just shade in the beard very lightly and the handle. I'm taking the BG10 and the BG000 to shade in my snowman's body. And for the gingerbread man, I'm using E37 as my darkest to lay in some shadows. And then I will go in with the E35 to just soften those up, create a little transition shade there. And then I will finish in with the E33. Just color the whole rest of him. The little portion on the top of his head and his hands and his feet, I'm just going to leave white because I have different plans for those later. And I'm going to use the E37 to just color in the coffee in the mug. I'm using the R29 to color the snowman's buttons, and the YR04 to dot in his nose. And then I can set these images aside. I've stamped the bear's scarf and the little snowman's hat on some pattern paper because I wanted to fussy cut them out and do some paper piecing. And I'm sorry I went off camera a couple times here, but basically I just hold my scissors as straight as possible and move the paper, and that helps you get the cleanest cut. Then I'm going to take my Memento dual tip marker, and I'm going to take the brush end and just color the core of that paper on the sides. And again, sorry that I went off camera, but that's just going to help it look like I have a clean cut if I missed any bits. Then I'm going to take some Tombow Mono multi-glue and just add a small amount over the snowman's stamped hat, and then I can press the little paper pieced hat right over top of that. And then I'll just do the exact same thing with my bear. Just add some glue right over the stamped scarf and add the paper pieced one right on top. And then I can go ahead and die cut these images. I want the paper piece parts to look like they're a cohesive part of the images, so I'm taking a couple Copic markers, the W1 and the W00, and just doing a little bit of shading so that they match up with the rest of the coloring. And then I'm just going to take my R20 and give everybody else some rosy cheeks as well. To stamp out my sentiment, I'm going to use my Misty tool. So I've just lined that up where I want it to go, and then I close the door to pick that sentiment up, and I'm going to ink it with some Versamark Onyx Black ink and just stamp that down. And I want that to be really crisp and bold, so I'm just going to press that down one more time after inking it up, and I got a very nice sentiment there. So for my card base, I have a piece of W+9's oatmeal cardstock. It's got these great little flecks in it that I think goes really well with the rustic kind of look of this card. And then I'm going to put some Tombow Mono down on the back of this pattern paper that I just cut to fit the front of the card. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'll just line that up and smooth that into place. And then I'm going to take this buffalo plaid print that I have die cut with the largest of the Neat and Tangled scallop dies. I just love these large scallops, and I'll add some more Tombow Mono to the back of that. I'm running low, I need to get a new bottle. And I'm just going to put that down right over top. Then I'm going to take some silver tinsel lawn trimmings. It's a really pretty twine that's threaded with silver tinsel. And I'm just going to wrap that around my card base twice, and then I can just snip off the rest of the roll that I don't need. And I'm going to tie this in a little bow on the left-hand side of the card. I'll adjust those loops to get them where I want them to be. And when I have that done, I will just snip off the ends. I've die cut my focal panel using the MFT Wonky Stitched Frames die, and I've also die cut a piece of cheap white cardstock, and I'm just going to add some Tombow Mono and adhere that down to give it a little bit more stability. And then I'm going to take my bear, and the really cool thing about this die is it actually die cuts his little hands out so that you can slip one of these images between his little paws. So I'm going to use the coffee mug for today, and then I'm just figuring out where I want my other images to go. I thought peeking out from either side of his legs would be really cute. So then I can just take my bear and add some more Tombow Mono to the back of him. I'm going to avoid the area where his little paws are die cut so that the glue doesn't seep through the holes. And then I can just line him up right above the sentiment. I'll take my little snowman and adhere him down on the left. I'll adhere my little gingerbread man down on the right. And then I'm going to slip this little mug back between the bear's paws now that I have a little glue on the back. I'm going to pop up my focal panel with some Scotch 3M foam tape so that it has a little dimension on the front of the card. And then I'm going to take this little snowflake button that I got at Michael's a few years ago. They come in a big bag. And I've added a little red rhinestone right over the top of that. And I'm going to adhere it down with some Ranger Multimedia Matte. This is a great adhesive for heavier embellishments like this. Once it dries, it's going to be very secure. And then I'm going to take these Teresa Collins enamel dots, and I'm going to use a couple different sizes and colors just to create a little more embellishment on my card. I'm adding a red, a green, and a white of various sizes, small, medium, and large actually. And so I'm just setting them down kind of gently until I figure out the placement. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to figure it out, and then I can just press them into place. I'm going to take some black enamel accents and just squirt a little bit out onto a scrap piece of paper. And then I can grab my pick-me-up tool, and I will use the sharp end of that to just dot some of that over the eyes to make them nice and bright. Just being very careful because these eyes are very small and I don't want to mess them up. And then I also decided to add a little bit to the nose as well, just on the bear because I wanted him to stand out. And last, I'm just going to take some crystal stickles and I'm going to dot that over the top of the little white pom-pom on the snowman's hat and on the white parts of the gingerbread's body, and then just a little bit to the bottom of the beard of the Santa cup. And then I also decided to just dot some over the buttons of the snowman as well. And that is going to complete our card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is such a cute set and those patterns are so pretty. There's a still shot of the finished card, and I will include a couple extra videos from past Christmas card series if you guys would like to watch those in the meantime. But I should be back on Wednesday with day 19. You can also click my photo to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks again guys for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.